like I was telling you, a few hundred yards from here, Frankfurt Place, 323. And during the route, I remember leaving Tulsa in a buggy with Mr. and Mrs. Freeman and their son Ted Freeman. Mr. Freeman might be remembered after the route. He used to drive the bus around here, and they called him Daddy Freeman. And as I recall it, we went, I don't know if it was Mohawk Park or somewhere out that way. There were some soldiers and some tents. And I think we stayed there maybe a day or two, and then when we came back to Old Booker Washington High School, and I distinctly remember that because they gave us some fish, and that made me awful sick. I remember that when I was just 3 years old, you know, and so. And I was reunited with my mother and dad. And then right after that, while my mother and I went to live in Muskogee while my daddy had the house rebuilt. And all I can remember about seeing is burn out, you know, foundations and stuff like that. I don't remember my mother and dad, either one, ever telling me about anybody being dead that they knew of. To this day, I can't recall any funerals or anything that they ever recalled. And that's just about all I can remember about it. My dad, my stepdad, is Homer Mosby. He was a tailor. And my mother helped him. She did the sewing. And I spent most of my time with the Freeman who lived next door, and then Teddy. He was kind of my babysitter. And I can't remember too many other people in the neighborhood, you know. If somebody would call their names, I could, you know.
Did they lose their tailor shop? It burned to the ground?
Yes.
And how did they rebuild? Do you know how they got money to? Because I know that there were no claims paid by insurance.
Well, my dad, I think one of the reasons they stayed, he had money in a trunk.
Oh.
And for years, we used to chip silver $half and dollars and quarters and things to spend. My kids did, and I used to have a big 10 or 15 pound wad of silver that had been burned in the race route.
Oh, yeah.
And those kids of mine chipped that stuff off and spend it. I got about that much. I'll bring it to you sometime.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. So your folks had money and they used their own money and rebuilt?
To rebuild, yes, as far as I can recall, yes. And we was fortunate, my mother and I, we had some friends. They had some friends we lived with in Muskogee. And I went, for a time, I went to school in Muskogee. And then we finally came back here and they was gradually rebuilding Greenwood. My dad had a cleaning press shop on Cameron there. That's about it.
And he didn't talk much about the riot, or he
No.
didn't have any bitterness or anything about it?
No, they never expressed
Just
any to me.
didn't talk about it, no. Well, I thank you for sharing that with us, and I'd like to see that melted lump of silver.
I will. I don't have much, but I'll bring it to you, and I'll bring you that newspaper.
And you've got
It's
a
real
newspaper
old
for me.
newspaper.
Good, I appreciate
My
that.
wife's